mission is to build a future where no one needs to come out anymore. Together, we can create a world where everyone has the right to love, to succeed, to have a family, and to live a full, happy life.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, our guest is Barbara Collura, and she is the president and CEO of Resolve, the National Infertility Association. And I will invite her to tell us more about her role in this organization.
Hi, everyone. First of all, Simona, thank you so much for having me as a guest. I'm really honored.
You're welcome. The pleasure is mine.
We are a nonprofit organization based in the United States. Resolve is what we call a patient advocacy organization. So our mission is to help people who are struggling to build their family, period. So that could be helping them emotionally, helping them with education and information. We do a great deal in the area of public awareness and outreach here in the United States. And then we also do a tremendous amount of work around the advocacy front. And in the U.S., that usually manifests itself with working on legislation in state legislatures around the country, as well as here in Washington, D.C. with the U.S. Congress. Part of our mission is access and helping anybody who desires to be a parent and to build a family to have the ability to do that. And a lot of times that takes the form of laws, either trying to prevent a bad law from passing or trying to help a good law that would help people get access. So that's what we do.
Amazing. And for how long you are doing this?
Resolve was founded in 1974. So we have been around a very long time.
Wow.
And I'm proud to say we are the world's largest patient advocacy organization in the space of infertility and family building.
Wow. I didn't even realize how many things you guys are doing and how big your organization is. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And in this particular space, I just want you to inform us, educate us, and what is the services and help and support that your organization provide, in particular for LGBTQ community, where building a family is not a matter of infertility, but is necessary to have the right help, support, and the right assisted reproductive method and treatment.
We do primarily our work in that space is going to have to do with access, which is super important. Mm-hmm. We are really at the forefront of trying to impact public policy in this area. One of the things that I got the pleasure of being a part of is helping to create and update international definitions around words like infertility. And we adhere at Resolve to a very inclusive definition of infertility that includes the LGBT community and single women who desire family. And so one of the things that we have as a big problem here in the United States is lack of insurance coverage for people accessing things like IVF and gestational surrogacy, even like donor egg or donor sperm. So we're working really hard to change public opinion as well as where there might be legislative opportunities. We're working very hard on that. Mm-hmm. One of the things we're also seeing in the United States are attempts to restrict who can and can't be a family, which is really disturbing. Mm. So we get involved in legislation where we're on the defensive, if you will. And so we're part of coalitions helping to make adoption easier for the LGBT community, as well as just getting access to IVF. You'd be surprised who's trying to restrict access and trying to say who can and can't be a parent. And that's just, we don't believe that's right. And our expertise really lies in the public policy arena. So to the extent that we can jump in and help and sometimes lead those efforts, we're going to do that.
I love it. And I do want to invite you to speak up and use this as, another platform to bring awareness with whatever issues, because we never know who's listening and who knows who and who could do what. So that's an invitation that I launch to every guest. as we want to bring awareness around family and redefine family.
Can I just speak to that? Because one of the things that wherever you're listening to this, and especially if you're listening to this in the U.S., but wherever you're listening to this, oftentimes we sort of sit back and we think that an organization is taking care of something. You know, years ago, I used to have a volunteer who would say to people, don't worry, Resolve has your back. You know, you don't need to worry, Resolve has your back. I actually don't say that, Simona. And the reason I don't say that is because I can't do it unless people speak up.
Yes.
Everyone in the U.S. is expecting Resolve to do everything we do without anybody else having to speak up or show up or raise their voice. I'm sorry, I'm too small.
Yes.
I don't have a gazillion-dollar budget to do it all.
Absolutely.
So I don't have your back in the sense of you sitting back and not doing anything. So wherever you're listening to this, I hope that you take sort of an activist perspective and say, I don't like the status quo. It stinks. And I'm going to do something about it. If you're in the U.S., contact Resolve, because we can get you engaged and involved in our advocacy efforts, whether it's in Congress, whether it's in your state. Don't worry. But if you're not in the U.S., find out who that is in your country and connect with them and just let them know that you don't like the status quo and you'd like to get involved. Because I can tell you that in this particular space of family building, everybody is under-resourced. There is no big gorilla that's taking care of it in the U.S. or around the globe. And, you know, back in the day, you had, you know, AIDS organizations that were international that had hundreds of millions of dollars. You have breast cancer that's now, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars organizations. We don't have that in our space. So we need that public activism to really move the needle.
Yes. Thank you so much for speaking to that, because that's what it is. And if we look back in the history, is all the big changes and all the big laws, they are not made by governments and institutions. No. They are made by people like you and me. And I mean, I have the honor to interview one of my guests a few episodes ago. He was just a gay dad that wanted to adopt children, but they didn't have the legislation for it. So therefore, with his partner, they put the time, the money, the skills, the knowledge, that everything, and changed the law. So it's just such a beautiful testimonial that we people are changing the law.
Yep, absolutely.
And I want to go back to when you say that people could contact you, so your organization could connect them with the right people. Would you please tell us more about that? Like, where are you in the states? Which states? What's the best way to contact your organization? What is the website?
So our website is resolve.org. Our email is info@resolve.org. Anywhere in the U.S. Where you live, please contact us, because we have advocates all over the country. We have people who are working on legislation. We work very closely with the medical societies in the U.S. who work in IVF and ART. We work very closely with the legal profession, with many of the agencies that deal with third-party reproduction and surrogacy. So we can, you know, if you call me and you say, hey, I live in Oklahoma, what's going on in my state? I can connect you or tell you what's going on right now in your state. So it doesn't really matter where you live if you want to get involved with legislation at the state level. At the federal level, we do a big federal advocacy day where people come from all 50 states. They come to Washington, D.C., and they meet with their senators and their U.S. representative and talk about and share about the issues that we care about. So we advocate for specific bills that are right now in the U.S. Congress that impact our community. So
wonderful.
So that's another great event. That's in May. It's May 15th and 16th this year. But wherever you are, we'd love to connect with you. And if it's not something we can fix this year, we need to get started. And that's a lot that happens with legislation. It might take a couple of years, but we need to know who you are and we need to hear from you.
I love that. a lot. Is it your organization involved in education in any kind of sort of way?
Depends on how you define education, because we do have a fantastic website that has a lot of information and materials on all the different ways you can build your family. Obviously, we have a ton of information on legal issues and legislation. We have a very large online support community for people who want to connect online with others. So we do that. If you're thinking of like, do we have a lot of regular educational content? We're not at that point yet, but we pride ourselves on having a complete and accurate website. You know, one of the things that you find is there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of information that may be promotional, maybe marketing-ish in general. We see a lot of that. We see a lot of people who feel like they're marketed to instead of just really good educational information. So our website is completely non-commercial. We're a nonprofit, so you're not going to get, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. We're not trying to push anything, and we're not trying to tell you what to do either.
Right.
Some people say, you know, well, gee, are you going to push me to this or that? We don't do that. That's not what our mission is.
I love that. And thank you for making that distinction, because in these times, we just go on drgoogle.com and you find all kind of information, and could be overwhelming, and ones have to decide which one is the right information and which one is not. When so much out there, it's, how you say it, marketing-ish? And which one is real?
Yeah, I mean, I hear so often from people, especially who are doing like donor egg surrogacy. They tell me, I tried to find some good information, and I just felt like everybody was trying to sell me something, marketing to me, and I wasn't sure what was true and what wasn't. And I just, you know, that's just terrible to hear. And so I caution people to just make sure where they're getting their information. I'm not saying that that means it's bad. I'm just saying just know who you're getting your information from, and make sure that you're balancing that with a mix of data and information.
Yes, thank you so much. That is the reason why we invite people like you on our podcast, because besides the people that are coming in to share their stories just with the purpose of inspiring others, we also want to bring awareness, educate, and inform about assisted reproductive treatments when it comes to creating a family, especially in an LGBTQ community, and what are the right organizations that can provide the right help and support.
Right. I will say that, you know, we're not, I don't know that any website can say we're the source for everything. I have noticed that there are some gaps, and it's not good. There are gaps in a couple areas, and I just point this out for your listeners so that they're aware. I feel as if there isn't really good information on what we call medical tourism, which is you're going to go outside of your home country to build your family. That could be you're going to go to another country to do IVF. You're going to go to another country to do surrogacy, or you're going to use a donor from another country. And how does all that work? There's a lot to consider, and I don't feel like there's really good non-commercial factual information out there for people. So that doesn't mean to say you can't find true statements out there. It's just having it in one good place. So that concerns me. The other thing is, in the United States, the organizations and the companies that help facilitate surrogacy and donor egg, they're called agencies. And they don't really have a home. They don't have a trade association that represents them. They're not represented by us. They're not represented by the medical organizations. So people come to me and say, well, how do I know if one firm is better than the other, or is one a legit? I don't have any way to tell them.
Right.
And so that's another kind of gap. It's also something I talk a lot about. So I would just let people know that we don't have it all figured out, and they need to be careful when they step into what we call third-party reproduction, especially if they're thinking about going outside their home country, because they might be misled, and that worries me.
Yeah. And it's coming back to educating yourself and educating in the right places.
Yep,
make a
aligning
decision.
yourself with legitimate, organizations and making sure of your sources, where you're getting that.
Right. And talking about outside of your country home, do you have people contact you from outside of the United States? And if they do, what is the reason they contact you for?
Yeah, we get contacted by just people who try to build their family and they want to start a support group. We have live support groups that meet all over the United States. They want to start a support group and they want to know, can they do that through Resolve? I also have organizations like a Resolve in other countries that are just starting up who say, can you help us? Can you tell us what to do? So we get both of those calls. We're small, so we don't have a ton of time to devote to that, although we're getting more of those kind of requests and we're happy to do what we can. One of the things that's kind of interesting this year, we have something called National Infertility Awareness Week, and it's a national health observance here in the United States, and it's in April. And this year, the patient organization in Canada, they said, hey, we started our own awareness thing, but it's not when yours is, but we're going to move ours to yours and let's have like this North American and let's come up with the same theme and all of that. So we are doing that with them and we're really excited about that. And we have a separate website called infertilityawareness.org. And you can find any kind of information there, but it's all about raising awareness and public information. So that's kind of fun to be able to take that health observance now and make it across countries.
That's great. Amazing work. And I did sense a lot of modesty from you saying, oh, we are small, but what I see a leading organization spread nationwide and teaching others how to bring awareness in their country and in their space. So would you please clarify for us, when you say small, what are the numbers?
Well, we are a $1.5 million organization here in the United States. That's our annual budget, and that sounds like a lot, but I like to tell people that in the U.S., the Sleep Foundation is about $5 million. So there's a lot of room for us to grow. And I think people look at the assisted reproductive technologies, they look at third-party reproduction, and they read magazine articles that say, this is a $6 billion industry. And those numbers are really deceiving. I don't like those numbers because what they're doing is they're looking at how many IVF cycles are done in the U.S. and multiplying that times like $20,000.
Right.
And it doesn't really give you a sense of sort of what we're actually dealing with. So from a philanthropic perspective, this is a very tough space. And so we are, as a nonprofit, that's how we grow. We don't sell anything. We're not selling widgets. We're not providing a service. People have to contribute and donate to the organization. So bottom line is we do a lot with a really small amount of money. So I have a little more than 6 people who work for Resolve and help put out our programs and services. But one of the things we're really proud of at Resolve is the sense of community.
I want to hear more about that. I mean, and maybe it's just my mindset. When you ask somebody about the size of a company or organization, and probably that's the right way to do it, and I just don't know, the automatic response is talking about the money and the budget. And I really, really want to hear about the people, because they are the ones that do the work. They show up every day, they volunteer, they time, they energy. They are the ones that advocate for everyone to be capable of creating the families they want and desire. So how that looks like in your organization too.
Yeah, so believe it or not, we have 900 volunteers.
Wow.
So we have 900 people who are doing a ton of different things for Resolve and helping put on walks of hope, helping do advocacy, helping do our support groups, help answer helpline calls. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So we have this amazing network of volunteers. In fact, tonight I have a phone call with a group of volunteers of, I don't know how many, 15 people or so, who are helping to organize our big advocacy day here in Washington, D.C. So I'm really excited about that. We have thousands and thousands of people that follow us on social media and that are part of our online communities. We have about 50,000 people daily in our online support community.
Whoa.
And so it's a massive amount of people. We're super proud of our social media, both Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube. And we have a lot of thousands of very active followers. So we are really proud of the way we have been able to harness social media and to create community, and then to be able to provide, we have these live support groups, Simona. We have over 300 support groups that meet every single month in the U.S.
That's a giant organization. Like I forgot about $1.5 million. I'm talking about people connecting with people and people supporting people, and they make an impact by people are talking with people.
Right. As you can tell, we are very lean, but we really use all the assets we have to the max. So volunteers and, things like a website, and which does cost money, but, when you can build following of thousands and thousands on social media channels, that's really cost effective. That really works.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love everything about it. And as we come to an end here, please tell us how one can contribute. Do you have an advice, a recommendation, or an invitation? How one can be a part of your mission?
How I end all these conversations where that question is asked is I always say the same thing, to find your voice. We really need to change the conversation around family and what is family. And we need people to speak up. We need people to share their story.
Yes.
Through channels like this, through blogs, through legislative work, to feel empowered, to use your voice and to speak up.
Yes.
I can't make it happen, just me sitting here in Washington, D.C. But boy, if I had thousands of people or even hundreds of people who were doing that, it would make a really big difference. That's what I want to see. I've seen a lot of change in the years that I've been here at Resolve, but I want to see more. So thank you.
Wow, such a powerful invitation. Speak up and you can make a difference. Thank you so much, Barbara, for all the work that you do and for making the time. Because I know that you're not busy and you have nothing else to do.
Gosh, for you, anything. And this has been a pleasure. And I'm so happy to do whatever I can. Thank you for having me. I get to talk about something I love, which is Resolve.
Yes, and it shows. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Redefine Family, a Spark Transformation podcast. Feel free to share your story, knowing that your story could change someone's life. We invite you to spread the love by sharing our message with others. And leave your comments at spark@redefinefamily.com. Until next time, remember that you are the spark in your life. Just shine bright.